Hey y'all, it's Sharon and I'm back to share another policing experience with you guys. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US and I was also in the military. I'm sharing my experiences and perspectives in hopes of helping others. And with that being said, I just want to share a little story with you guys. I remember I had probably 2 years on, and we were out in the field. I was on patrol at the time, and we were in the cut, as they say, a space or area where nobody really goes. Or so we're sitting there talking, and everybody's complaining about this sergeant and the lieutenant. And at the time, I had the same complaint. So I'm listening, and one person said, "You know what? We need to teach that lieutenant a lesson." Now, mind you, I didn't know the lieutenant or the sergeant that well, and people were saying they've worked with them for years and they're sorry, they're scary. They really didn't do much in the street or in the field because they were scary officers. So I'm like, what are we gonna do? Because they're micromanaging and da da da. And one veteran suggested how they used to get the lieutenant and the sergeants to come off their high horses, he put it. He said, if I'm working in A sector, I'll call the sergeant out or the lieutenant. I'll call them out to the furthest location, make a stop, a traffic stop on the outskirts of the area. And then somebody in the opposite sector call the sergeant out to the furthest end of the jurisdiction and do that back and forth all day. And I was like, Somebody else was like, we just need to call in. It was like 5 or 6 of us. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I agree with that. Let's just call in and see how they act then, right? Okay, I think that was a Tuesday. I call in on Wednesday. I get back to work on Thursday. I'm standing around in roll call, and we do roll call. And I think it was the sergeant. He said, Walters, we missed you yesterday. And I'm like, what? Missed me? So I look around, and nobody's looking at me. We do roll call, and they talk about the car chase they got into and all that stuff. And after roll call was over, I didn't say anything in the precinct. I waited. We usually met, I think we went to Shoney's that day. Shoney's, I'm telling my age, but yeah, we went to Shoney's. And I'm like, what happened? And everybody was like, well, man, I didn't want to mess up my money for my second job. And you know how that sergeant is, and da 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 da. Needless to say, I was angry. I was like, I said some words. And the fact that I was the only one that called in, I was bothered by that. We were all talking what we're going to do, and we agreed to call in. And then I was the only one to call in. And so the reason why I wanted to share that with you was I thought working with these folks, running and gunning, as they say, running through the kudzu and getting the bad guys, we thought alike. But we didn't. Because when I think back to it now, what motivated me was I didn't like what the sergeants were doing or the lieutenant, and how they were micromanaging and then telling us to do stuff they wouldn't do. And I wanted to teach them a lesson. But when I think back to it, my motive was I didn't want to keep going through it, and I didn't want anybody else to keep going through it. Of course, there are other ways to work that out. Of course, I know that now, but at the time I was thinking, we'll show them, we'll call in, and then who are they going to have to work the area? But the other guys weren't. Their motive was, yeah, let's teach these higher ups a lesson. But then when it came down to it, I guess they had more time to think about it. Money was a motivator. I don't want to mess up my money. That was like 3-4 people. I don't want to mess up my money. And so I say that because I've mentioned it in the other videos about folks in their second job. They call them second jobs. You make more money with your second job doing less than your regular job. Who wouldn't do that? There's a lot of people that won't do it, but money's the motivator. And money, as I used to say when I was teaching somewhere else, Money will make you get up and put on deodorant and wash your behind. Money will make you do that. And so I noticed with those folks, the motivator was, I don't want my money messed with. But sometimes I think you got to make a sacrifice, and you got to make a sacrifice. It's going to be a sacrifice. Either I don't want it to happen to other folks, and I don't want it to keep happening to me, so I'm going to sacrifice something. And that's what I thought in my mind when I called in. Evidently, that didn't work. What happened with the sergeant and lieutenant, they each got in trouble, and they ended up having to leave the department. So it was that bad. But again, like-minded folks, sometimes you think you may be with like-minded folks, and you're actually not. But I just want to share that with you guys. Hit like, subscribe, share, leave a comment if you want to. And also check out our online store. The link is in the description. I created some notebooks. The links for those in the description. You don't have to go search around. And as always, you guys, always remember, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.